Alright, for the most part, things look good. Some stuff that does need to be corrected, and other things just want to talk about other examples or other ways you could play it. So not necessarily you did anything incorrect. Just want you to be aware of the other options. Alright, so the first one here. This bar needs to be fixed. I don't want to say what it is. I know it's been a while since we've had a lesson together, but I still want you to be able to figure out what's going on and address the problem. So see what you can find here. It could be the name of the chord. It could be the chord itself that you have tabbed out. So anything in here. See what you can find. Alright, so I've made some notes here. I'm going to cross them out as we go. Alright, so this bar is correct. So just remember the way like the open G7 we've done before. So you can start with, typically do the G that way, and then the root note here, dropping that down a whole step, gets to the dominant 7. So you could go from this shape, which we have done, to that, but that's not very fun to hold, so the pinky is not necessary. So that's one way you've done the G7 before. As far as turning that into the G13 from here, you could just take your index off the F, and then you would lose that F. So you can replace the F on the D string, which means you lose the D note. But we can put the D note on the B string and play it that way as well. So how you have it written, totally fine. This is an open version. And once again, I got to that by taking this G7. I added the 13 on the high E string. That means you lost the flat 7th interval, which is F. You can put that on the D string. But that means we lost the D note. But we can play a D on the B string. And we already have a B note on the A string. Okay, that's that key. Alright, so here. So with the G major 7, so everything is written fine here. So other option though, so starting with the open G chord, taking the octave of that root note there, and dropping that down. Because we can't drop the open G. I suppose you could raise it way up here, but that's silly. So anyway, dropping that down a half step, involving that chord shape there, which is an absolute son of a bitch to hold. So instead of doing it that way, open up the B string and hold it like that. And then you have the G major 13. I'd do it that way anyway, because getting the 13th interval in there would involve getting the high E string open, which means we lose the F sharp, so we put it on the D string, which means we lose the D note, which we put on the B string, which is exactly what you have. Okay. That's that. Let's see. This one, everything is good here. I'm going to go over an option with the G major 13. So, totally fine. Some people may not like that stretch. So, other options here. Okay, so the note that we need is the A note. So we can raise the G up to the A. So we lose the G. But we can add the G to the high E string. So you have your 1, your 3, your 5, your 7, and then your 13. So that's another way to do that. But again, either one's fine. Just want you to be aware of the other things you can do here. Alright, so that is that key. Whoopsie. Stuff needs to be fixed here. yeah, I'm not going to say what. I want you to take a moment, see if you can figure out what it is. Is it in the name of the chord? Is it any of the notes that you have? Maybe it's both. Let's see what you can figure out there. Alright, so next bar, next position is here. Typically, yeah, the B flat major 7 is fine. I, for a moment, like, started to put my fingers in that, and I said, never mind. So, can you hold that? My fingers already started feeling like they're in a bad spot, and the tendons and whatnot in here, they're like, what the hell are you doing? So I was like, yeah, I'm going to leave that shape out of it. We'll take a look at what the notes are, though. I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a hint as to one way you can play that chord. But anyway, let's look at this one first. So that is your B flat major 7. Typically, we play it over here. So taking like this B major chord shape, turning it into that. So either one's fine. That one or this one that you got. That one's got an extra note. So yeah, the B flat major 13. This one's kind of a son of a bitch. But let's go through here. So just to see, obviously there's your root note there. And yep, mine. That's just incorrect. So here's what I want you to do. To figure this one out, and this is a chord because I don't have too many people stick it out for long enough to get to 13th chords. You've progressed quite quick compared to most people. You're definitely on the above average side of the spectrum. Anyway, so do this, because this is what I do anytime I can't remember a chord or I got to figure it out quickly, especially under the pressure of doing the lesson with someone. And I'm like, crap, I can't remember the chord. Write out all the notes that you're going to use. So that's your 1, 3, 5, 7, 13. Write the notes that correspond to those intervals here. And then there's like, I'm trying to think how I want to word this and how much hint I want to give away. We'll say this, where you're starting is good. Where you have the root note on the low E string, that's a good place to start. And that's where you want to start. And then try and add in notes as easily as you can. So when you finally get the chord shape that can be done right there, it's actually pretty simple. You just got to think outside the box to put it all together. So again, write out the 5 notes to use. So the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 13th intervals. Write those notes out and see if you can figure out how to build it all up. Let's see, after that, scroll up here. That key, there we go. Alright. Yeah, so here everything is fine. So another C7. Common way of doing a C7 open does cause you to lose the 5th interval. Remember, that's the most expendable one. So you can put the flat 7, that B flat note, on the G string. And because the most important intervals there, the 1st, 3rd, and flat 7 are present, it has that dominant sound. So that's another option for the C7. Just wouldn't have the 5. And let's see. Next, something in here needs to be corrected. And then this, those are fine. but usually, I'll play something like an E-based chord, like a chord where the E is the root note. I usually start with the E string. So I just changed my mind how I want to go about this. So this is another thing I'd like you to do here. You don't have to redo. You can add to those chords there. I want you to add the open position version of both of those. And I'm sure you could be funny guy, and just add in the low E string there and end up strumming that way. It's like, yeah, technically that's open position because you have an open string. Play it down here. So yeah, keep them there, that's fine, but I want you to add in the low open position chords, versions of those chords there. Okay. So another thing you can work on after going through that's the stuff that needs correcting. Ooh, goodness. Let's see. So I got this set up here. Let's change this again. Something like this. Okay. So 13th chord arpeggios. So typically when I do this with anyone, I go through highlighting 3 notes at a time. I ask everybody to tell me what those arpeggios within the big arpeggio are. So it's a good thing to take note of. It's kind of like review, because you're looking at past stuff we've done. Because that right there is an arpeggio. That is an arpeggio. That is as well. And then you can do 4 notes at a time. That's an arpeggio we've covered. So is that. So is that. So on. Then you can do 5 notes in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops. That was odd. Anyway, so yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. So even those 5 notes right there are an arpeggio we have talked about, we looked at. Maybe not specifically that exact shape, but note structure, interval structure. It's all there. So with these guys, we are working with just 1, 3, 5, 7, and 13. Just like the 11s, we simplify these things for guitar playing purposes. With the arpeggios, because we're playing 1 note at a time, you can use every single interval, which is exactly what we're doing. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different notes. 7 different intervals. And how many notes make a major scale? 7. So every single note in the key is used in every single one of these arpeggios. So you're basically just skipping every other note as you go up and come back down. Naming these things, you have to take into account all 7 intervals. So to simplify the process, just start tabbing out what the next arpeggio is going to be. You don't have to worry about naming it yet. So tab it all out first, and anytime that you have a sharp or flat pop up in the standard notation, something's gone wrong. Because there are no sharps and flats in the key of C. And whatever you write out, or, well, it's already written here, what you write here, none of these notes can be duplicated over here in terms of what's on the string. So like, you have the 10th fret here. Well, you can't use the 10th fret again on the same string here. So you're always just going 1 note higher for everything. It's like, I'm hoping that doesn't just make things more confusing than they need to be. Either way, go to D, start skipping every other note on the way up, and there you go. Yeah, so if you got any questions, let me know. Interesting about the old Guitar Center there. I wonder if that'll help improve customer service as well. And yes, have a more knowledgeable staff. God, I can't remember what it was. No, I thought I had a story for you. A student who went to a Guitar Center for some kind of setup, and it was one of the dumbest things I'd ever heard. Oh, something about the action. You're not allowed to adjust the action because it like screws up the entire guitar. I don't remember. I just remember being upset when I heard it. Anyway, sorry for the lackluster story there. But yeah, any questions come up, let me know, and I'll see you next week.